So we're here in Revelstoke, British Columbia.
We've actually driven here from Sun Peaks, which was about a 3.5 to 4 hour drive. That was our chosen way to get here because we've been to Sun Peaks before Revelstoke. And if you want to see that video, we have a separate video that covers Sun Peaks. We actually flew into Vancouver Airport, drove up to Sun Peaks, which was about 3.5 hours, and then on to Revelstoke here, another 3.5 to 4 hours. The drive back from here looks to be about 6.5 to 7 hours, so it seems like a lot, but once you're on that Trans-Canada highway, it really isn't a problem at all. I'm quite happy with our choice of airport. You could have come into Calgary, but you need to look up Drive BC to make sure there is no traffic on that past Banff Lake Louise, Golden and all of that before you come up to Revelstoke. That drive back to Vancouver looks pretty cool because 95% of it's on the motorway, so it's very simple, very easy to do. You could get an internal connecting flight to Kelowna or Kamloops, which takes you to within about 2 hours of Revelstoke. So if you want to do that interconnecting flight from Calgary or Vancouver, then of course you can do that as well. Now I'm here, I can visualise everything that everybody's always talked about with Revelstoke. It's off the Powder Highway, which as you can imagine is called that for a reason. A bunch of resorts that make up the Powder Highway, the likes of Fernie, Panorama, Kicking Horse, Whitewater, Kimberley. Now that I'm at Revelstoke, I can really see what they're talking about. It's an absolute bucket list destination to get to. So Revelstoke is split into two main areas. You've got downtown Revelstoke, which is a very cool town, similar to Banff, probably a little bit smaller. We're lucky enough to be staying in the Sutton Place Hotel, which is the only ski in ski out resort in Revelstoke, which means we're right at the bottom of the slopes to start out each day. It's a beautiful large hotel and it faces straight out onto the slopes and to the gondola, the main gondola out of town. And as you can see behind me, really smart. We've got a suite, a 2-bedroom suite, very nice indeed, with sort of full lounge and kitchen facilities, washing machine, tumble dryer, storage for all your ski stuff. Very slick place, really nice. The place is faultless, really nice hotel, big reception area, very helpful staff, and it runs a free shuttle bus into downtown Revelstoke if you want to go there in the evenings. I see there's another hotel being built opposite. I believe it's going to be run by the same people, and that's going to be less sort of posh apartment style but more standard hotel rooms. But they are at the moment, they're just at base foundations level, so I guess that's not going to be opening until winter 25 at least. And at this mountain resort area, you've got everything you'd expect from the like of guest services, where you can pick up your lift passes or arrange lessons or whatever else. There's a ski hire shop. There's also like a foodie drink and gifty shop if you like. And there's a few restaurants and a place to get a nice breakfast before you head up the hill. So actually I quite like it being based here, and it does mean you can jump in a shuttle or you can drive 10 minutes to downtown Revelstoke if you want to. There's not much else at the base, so I can see why people would choose to stay in downtown Revelstoke, but obviously it is personal choice. Loads of parking here for people who are driving up from downtown as well. Plenty of places to eat in downtown Revelstoke. I've really enjoyed going out there. So I really enjoyed the beer house, that's spelt like the German beer. I'll put it on the screen here for you to see. Very specialist in their smoked ribs and smoked meats, really tasty, and their brisket is absolutely fantastic. The Village Idiot was also cool as well. Very nice après bar, all sort of old ski memorabilia. You're sitting on skis, seats made of skis. So that's really nice. Got a very nice après vibe about it as well. Old School, also a nice place to eat as well. If you fancy a really good cocktail, then head to Monashi, and if you want sushi, you could head to Kawakubo. If you're happy setting up at the resort base, which is no bad thing depending on your needs, I really like the Rockford Bar and Grill. That was great for après beers, really enjoying that. There's also Mackenzie's. I haven't eaten in there, but did have a few beers in there, and that was really nice. And also La Petite Baguette, great for breakfast. Massive pastries, superb smoothies, great coffee in the morning. It isn't cheap, $10 for a smoothie, but it is really good. So the most important bit, and probably the reason you're watching this video, is because of the skiing. So from the resort base, you can walk straight out of the hotel, jump in the bubble and head straight up to the halfway point. You can get off there if you want to, or carry on up to the top where it gives you that sort of more big mountain experience. Got a huge vertical here. In fact, it's the highest vertical in North America, 1700 meter vertical, and you really do get the feel for that. So there's an average of 10.5 meter snowfall annually here, so hence it's on the Powder Highway, and hence it's renowned as one of those powder destinations destinations. I didn't get lucky by arriving in one of those powder times. In fact, it's probably one of their worst seasons for a while, but that said, it is snowing at the moment. They've got Norm the Gnome that you can watch from the webcam, see how much extra snow they're getting, and to be fair, the snow hasn't stopped us doing anything while we're here. They're on the Icon Pass here, which is really good because that gives you access to a whole bunch of other resorts, and I would recommend that you book lift tickets in advance. If you head up to the window, you are going to pay maximum price for your lift ticket. The clouds do tend to roll in, roll out quite quickly. When it does clear, everybody seems to stop and pull out their cameras if they haven't seen the view for a while, which is quite funny. But actually, I really like the big mountain experience. It's really nice, and you really do get a feel for that big vertical. So there's all kinds of skiing here, from wide open bowls to nicely spaced claded trees. It's actually got everything going on. In fact, there's even an art gallery on the slopes, which was absolutely brilliant. I loved it in there. You were skiing between the trees and looking at localized artists hanging on trees. It was really, really spectacular. That's nice. When I arrived in Revelstoke, I was under the impression that this place was purely steep and deep, double diamond blacks and heli skiing, anything that you could potentially kill yourself on, but actually that's not the case at all. It does lend itself and it does slant itself to more advanced skiers, that's fair to say, but there's plenty for intermediate skiers and even some beginners terrain too. So get this, there's 5 main lifts, 3 that are the key ones. The Revelation Gondola gets you from the bottom to the mid-mountain, the Stoke Chair that gets you to the top of the mountain and the more challenging and freeride terrain, and the Ripper Chair that gets you into the glades and the groomer terrain, which is great for intermediates racing around groomers that really aren't that busy, because most people come here for the steep and deep. So actually, if you're a groom hugger or you love going between the trees and that sort of mid-mountain experience, to be honest with you, you can have a really good time here. There's the last spike as well, which is their massive 15-kilometre run that runs from top to base. That's when you get the real feeling for the vertical here, because 15 kilometres down 1,700 metres is incredible, and any beginner that's even just beyond probably a snowplower can make that happen. That's if your legs can hold up. Loads of other runs that I really enjoyed. Fast Friends, Fella Buncher, they're all good runs. The Ripper Connector, Critical Path are also good intermediate runs. Very cool indeed if you can catch hot sauce. On a powder day, having been groomed, probably the best groomer run here if you like those steeper groomers. I'd say that's decent intermediate level and a lot of fun. There's loads more runs that I could carry on naming, including Downtowner, Sally Alley and Chopper. All good fun, racy fast blues, and plenty of well-spaced tree runs. All give you that great feeling of intermediate skiing, intermediate freeride skiing. So for more advanced skiers, you can choose to ski under the Stoke Chair, which is more natural mogul terrain. The North Bowl gives that steeper alpine terrain, which again is great for advanced skier and a real big mountain feeling. It's maybe not completely extreme skiing, but plenty of jumps and cliffs, which, to be honest with you, isn't my thing, and at the moment the snow conditions just aren't there. With more snow, I can see that running through the upper and mid-mountain tree runs look fantastic. The likes of Kill the Banker, which I would love to have skied down, would have been absolutely fantastic, but the snow conditions just didn't allow while we were here. It looks just too sketchy. They need another couple of feet of snow at least to make that fun while I'm here. There's a couple of lodges for food up the mountain. The Revelation Lodge, where you can get some decent food at lunchtime. There's some experience, there's some fantastic terrain to explore here, and obviously some great heli-skiing operators out here that offer some incredible excursions for experienced skiers. In fact, there's over 3,000 acres of terrain here, 1,700 which is lift access, so I think you get the idea of how much freeride terrain there is. I honestly would say that Revelstoke is a real bucket list destination. It's another one of British Columbia's greats, but certainly very different from the likes of Whistler or Alberta. This is a resort in a class of its own, that's for sure. And whilst it's got some fantastic terrain for all levels of skier, it does seem to attract more advanced level skiers that like to hike off the top of the chairlift and ski into the bigger freeride terrain. I've really enjoyed our stay at Revelstoke. It's been a great stay here. It's a shame the powder didn't come in for us. We did have a little bit of extra snow to top things up, but not quite enough to allow us to get into some of the nice terrain. What I have been particularly surprised about is the fact that this isn't just a place for advanced skiers or expert skiers. All levels of skier could come here. It's fair to say that it does lend itself more towards advanced skiers, or certainly upper end intermediate skiers, but I actually think the place has got an awful lot to offer. I've enjoyed staying in the mountain resort rather than downtown, but that's my personal choice. I can get why people would want to stay downtown and not at the mountain resort. It is quieter here in the evenings. If you want to just go for quiet beers and something to eat here, that's great. But if you want to go for a bit more lively scene, then heading into downtown is the way for you. That's it for us from Revelstoke. It's good to see you, and look out for our other videos on other great North American and Canadian resorts.